First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately?
Furthermore, the equation E is equal mc squared.
We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature.
That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, oh, this is a physics excursion.
Science. What is it all about?
The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of the nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time.
Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
You're tuned in to what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, 4ZZZ, your community radio broadcaster. Beat it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM. Digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app, or streaming us live from our sensational website at 4zzz.org.au. And of course, you can always listen back to this show or any 4ZZZ show using the Ingenious On Demand feature, also found at that URL. We also have a weekly podcast of this show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K. Your weekly dose of science. And joining me for this episode to speak about all things science is one of my favourite science communicators. May I please introduce Issy.
Hello, hello.
And I'm Max, and for those
There's just the two of us today, Max.
Yes. For those unfamiliar with the show, it's a science show, so we kick it off with some weird science, then we move on to some marine science with our friendly neighbourhood marine scientist Peta, and then we have, a personal favourite of Issy and mine, which is the MotoRap. Mm-hmm. It's basically any science that has sort of piqued our interest during the week, and then we roll on into the space news before 12 o'clock. Before the show's finished. I can't mention any times, Izzy, so the podcast sounds normal.
Mate, that is all you.
I can't talk about the songs. He's cut me off. Because if I talk about it now, then it doesn't work with the podcast because they have to cut this bit out about
Max!
Don't you think I know that?
Right of reply.
You're making more work for the poor fella.
We'll let Toby sort it out.
What a legend, Toby. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to the cryosphere, Max. Part of the world where the land and sea has water that is frozen. Mm-hmm. Cold, but specifically anywhere where you're at or below ground level.
Yes.
And the water is frozen. That is the cryosphere.
Gotcha.
And specifically, we're going to one place in the cryosphere
is that where Walt Disney is? Or?
Where Walt Disney is crazy,
Where
Max.
Walt Disney
If you're concerned about us getting renewed, you can't say stuff like that.
Anyway.
What is it?
Famously, ticking off Disney is not going well for people at the moment.
Yes.
But we're going to go to one place.
That they can't reach you.
One place in the cryosphere in particular where a rust-coloured mystery has started leaking. It's in parts of Alaska. There are rivers formed by melting ice that are turning orange.
Oh, I've read about this.
And we now know even more of the reason behind why. This study was published in the journal The Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, PNAS, by researchers at Umeå University in Sweden. You got a QS ranking?
Give us that pronunciation again.
Umeå.
Wonderful.
U-M-E and then A with two little degrees symbols on top of it.
Yeah. That's umlaut. Okay.
That is not an umlaut.
It's not an umlaut.
It is a Swedish lout.
A swillout, if you will. I'm going to go for Sweden. I'm going to go 286.
I'm going to stay with 380.
The Swedish people. 182.
401. Well done, Max.
Oh.
Oh,
good job,
bring it in.
And when I say orange, some of these photos are wild. It looks like a lava flow, but like cold.
Yes.
But it's still, but because of the stuff that's causing it orange, it is actually killing some of the vegetation that it flows over. If it's not, especially if it's like a flow that's over the top of existing vegetation, like like a temporary bit of water flow, a stream forming, it kills everything. So it does look like a cold lava flow. Like that's the look we're going for. A very strong orange color in parts, and then in other parts it's more of like a brown snake sort of look, but
classic
brownie brown
great
snake.
look.
Brisbane River vibes. But there are at least 75 streams that are turning orange in the Arctic part of Alaska, which is the far north part of Alaska, where only the crazy people live. The good crazy and the bad crazy, but
Lots
only
of
the
crazy.
crazies.
Yeah.
And it's called the Salmon River, one of them.
Oh, so not great for the salmon then.
Well, do you want to guess what it's named after?
I was going to guess salmon running up it.
Bang on.
Yeah.
Well done.
Because they do that. That's kind of their thing.
And there's a quote about this river in a Science magazine write-up on it that was published recently from an author called John McPhee, who said about 50 years ago, the Salmon River has the clearest, purest water I have ever seen.
Wow.
But
not great for the salmon, though. Easy to be caught by a bear.
Yes, it's true. Since 2019, the river has turned this orangey, yellowy colour, pretty dramatically too. There was a researcher who, in a previous different study that was studying this, saying he'd looked at and said it just looked like sewage when he was flying over it in 2019.
Oh,
and so they started studying what was happening. And then some other researchers who have published this recent stuff have made a finding that's pretty awesome bit of chemistry of what's going on that's actually causing this to happen. So the colors comes from a whole lot of metals. We know this, including a lot of toxic metals. So yeah, not good for the salmon and everything else that lives there. And in one of the studies that was done previously, they found some of these metals were 3 to 37 times higher in 2023 than they were a decade earlier. So huge elevations. And it looks a lot like mining waste. The composition is actually like certain types of mining waste, but it's not. We know it's not. Mining's not happening around there. We know it's something else that's going on. And one of the key metals that's in there that's giving it that orangey color is iron, right? So that classic rust orange irony color. That's a big part of
Is there also copper? Because oxidized copper goes quite
copper,
orange.
there was zinc, there's all the usual suspects and a whole lot more. There's lots of different things that they've detected elevated levels of. But iron's the one that they see a lot of, and it particularly is giving it that color. And so...
Can I make a guess as to what's happening?
Go for it.
Random guess. I feel like as the ice is melting in Alaska and the permafrost is melting, what usually happens is the land underneath, actually, it's like quite spongy, and so it rebounds and it gets quite big. And so I wonder whether the melting ice with the rebounding land is getting all those nutrients that have been trapped underneath.
Okay.
Years. That's my guess.
Okay.
Might be wrong, but that's my guess.
Park the guess, and we'll come back to it. The thing is, this has only started happening 6 years ago, and the turning orange, and there's no records that it's happened previously. It might have, but we don't have any records of it happening. So the question is why now? Is it just the fact that we're there more, but there's more cameras around and we've just picked it up for the first time, or is something different going on? So to try and figure this out, they studied how iron oxide dissolves when in water and in ice. Some basic chemistry would tell us that something, they had other stuff in these solutions as well. For the chemists out there, I know there's going to be one person listening who's going to be annoyed at how much I've simplified the chemistry of this.
Me.
And two people listening who are going to be annoyed at how I've simplified the chemistry of this. I know I have. I've gone as deep as I feel is possible to go without completely just losing the plot and
True.
I read these chemistry papers. This is like one of the few times when I read a paper and I'm just blanking every sentence and Googling every third word. Like, it's so much. But I know I've oversimplified this. I think it's for the best. The basic chemistry would tell us that in warmer conditions, something like iron should dissolve faster in water. So in this case, iron would dissolve faster in water if it's at 25 degrees than if it's frozen at negative 10 degrees, right?
More
that
energy.
would be what basic chemistry would tell us.
Water has weird stuff. Water's weird.
Yeah, so what they tested those two conditions, so 25 degree water and negative 10 degree ice, 25 degree liquid water, I should say.
Yes.
And then they also had a midpoint of 4 degree liquid water. So they had iron oxide with some other stuff in acidic conditions to speed up the dissolving in ice, cold water, and room temperature water. Okay, and then what they found was that it's the complete opposite of what basic chemistry would tell us. They found that under the, depending on what other stuff they had in the water, pretty much always the negative 10 degree ice dissolved more iron in it than the 4 degree water and the 25 degree water.
And so you wouldn't see it in the ice, but when it melts into the water, you will suddenly see a lot of iron.
So, well, kind of.
No,
so
never mind.
Because the question is then, how does that then turn a river orange, right? Just the fact that ice can dissolve it more.
Yeah.
And it comes down to how the water's freezing. So it's like the basic chemistry is true. Things that are happening at high temperatures, like it does speed up chemical reactions. What's happening here is a bit of a trick where when the water is freezing, water doesn't like forming ice with other little particles like iron wedged in there. It doesn't like forming that crystal structure with other stuff in. Stuff does get trapped in there, but it forces a lot of these particles out, which means at a really small scale, like between grains of ice, between actual crystals of ice, you get these tiny pockets of liquid water within the ice with really high concentrations of all of these other particles that get forced out as the ice forms. And these particles include iron and other stuff that are needed to dissolve iron, including stuff that makes the water more acidic. So you get these little tiny pockets of water in between the ice that then are like the perfect conditions to dissolve iron quickly. And so that's what happens. It dissolves really quickly. The thing is, like you said, Peter, these areas, these Arctic areas, like in Alaska, are permafrost in the sense that it is permanently frozen. It doesn't melt. So those tiny pockets of iron in the water just get held there. They're not going anywhere. They're held in the ice. They're held in the frozen ground, the frozen soil, the frozen sediment. And so something has changed. And like Peter mentioned, what we've seen is a changing climate has warmed these areas at certain times and led to melting.
Frost not so perma.
Exactly. We get a loss of the permafrost. And so it starts melting. And as it melts, suddenly these pockets of tiny little bits of liquid water with lots of iron are getting released. And then it gets leaks out into the water stream. And the soils themselves in these areas are often quite acidic. Because of the other stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the perfect conditions for this to happen. And then what they also found in this research is that when refreezing happens, which has been happening, as we sort of slowly warm, the conditions get slowly warmer at times, as the permafrost refreezes and melts and refreezes and melts, any of the particles that did end up trapped in the ice have another opportunity to get forced out into these little pockets of liquid water in between the ice, and it happens all over again. And so you get all of the high concentrations of everything that can dissolve the iron and presumably all of these other metals as well.
Yeah.
And it just gives it more opportunities to leak and leak and leak. And what they found is that if you freeze and melt and freeze and melt and freeze and melt, it's just like a beautiful way of extracting. It is. It's purifying the ice. That's exactly what it is. And as a result, all of these metals, including iron, get leached out into the environment. And
not great for the salmon.
Turning these rivers orange, and in some cases partially toxic to things like salmon and the vegetation and all the other fish and everything else that's living in there. And so they're saying, this is just another one of these unforeseen impacts of a changing climate is that you get a permafrost that suddenly isn't perma anymore and is a temporary frost, and it's like these perfect conditions that you wouldn't predict for stuff like iron to get into the water. And there are other things going on here as well. There's like other stuff where the thawing out of these areas could expose bedrock that has a lot of sulfides in it, which then when it hits the oxygen in the air forms sulfuric acid, which then makes the ground more acidic and increases the amount of metals getting dissolved. So there's other stuff going on as well. But yeah, they've done this. I think it's just a beautiful bit of science, finding this like really niche chemical interaction that's going on with how ice is interacting with stuff like iron and other little particles that are in there. And then at a big scale, it's turning at least 75 rivers in Alaska orange, like pristine rivers turning orange as a result of this little interaction that it's just another example of how little we understand and how much there is going on out in the world. And when we start messing with it, it turns a river orange. I think that's just incredible.
You tune into Triple Z.
Whoa, what was that? Sorry, we might need to take him off air to reboot him. Jeez.
You're tuning to 4ZZZ and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy and we've got part 2 of this. You'll be relieved, Izzy. There's no QS ranking for this university.
Oh, thank God. Some days I'm like, I can feel it. I'm going to get most of them right. And then there are days where I'm completely off.
This is a study out of Japan, and they possibly found a connection between vitamin C levels in your blood and the physical structure of your brain.
Ooh.
Researchers at Hirosaki University followed just over 2,000 adults from a community health project in northern Japan who had an average age of 70. Everyone got a detailed brain scan and everyone had their blood tested for vitamin C. The scientists then looked at whether people with high vitamin C levels had different brain structure than those with lower levels after accounting for other things that affect the brain, such as age, diabetes, high blood pressure, smoking, and exercise habits. What they found was fairly remarkable. People with higher plasma vitamin C had more preserved grey matter. So that's the brain tissue packed with the neurons. They also had healthier white matter, and this is the electrical wiring. You can think of it that way, that connects the different parts of the brain. In another interesting part of the study, they looked at something called the default mode network. The network that lights up when you're daydreaming, remembering your past, or simply reflecting. This network tends to weaken as we age and break down in conditions like Alzheimer's disease. The researchers found that vitamin C levels were linked to this network in an interesting, nuanced way. Higher vitamin C was associated with stronger connectivity in the networks that normally fade with age, almost like vitamin C was helping preserve them. Higher vitamin C levels tracked with a brain that looked more like the healthy pattern you would expect and less like an aging brain. Using detailed mapping of the brain, the team also pinpointed exactly where the vitamin C effect was strongest. The posterior cingulate cortex, a hub region right in the center of that default mode network. But don't get too excited, Izzy. The study does cite some caveats. This study is a snapshot in time.
Of course.
Not a before and after experiment. So it cannot prove that vitamin C causes better for better brain health. Just that the two go together. The effect sizes were also modest, though the researchers point out that they are in the same ballpark as well-established risk factors like blood pressure and blood sugar. And vitamin C was only measured once from a single blood draw. The main takeaway is a reminder that our bodies cannot produce vitamin C, also known as the famous failure in humans, where most other animals can produce it in their livers. We get it entirely from foods such as citrus fruits, berries, tomatoes, peppers, leafy greens. And this study adds another reason to incorporate such foods into your daily intake.
Yeah, Australia is one of those countries where we do actually have we're in a deficiency of vitamin C. It's quite notable in a few of the studies that have been done on the Australian population, especially in our younger kids. And don't forget, I think it was last year or the year before, the British Medical Journal did a study on that poor gentleman in Australia who got scurvy because he couldn't afford to purchase citruses. So it's definitely something that...
Was he stuck on a leaky boat or something?
Yeah, the pirate age coming back. But especially in this cost of living where, you know, it's so expensive to buy fresh fruit. It's understandable. But when we have to eat our vitamin C, in Australia, 40% of the vitamin C comes from veggies and 19% from fruits. And a large majority of the Australian population as well gets it from fruit and vegetable juices. So if you're getting a drink, don't get yourself another coffee, go get yourself some juice.
Job done.
Because dinosaurs did not go extinct. We know that. Not dinosaurs. Many dinosaurs went extinct, but dinosaurs did not go extinct. We have them all around us. They're called birds. I just like to really lay down the law there.
As a marine scientist.
As a marine scientist, I'm here to talk
We got
to you
birds.
about birds.
The fish of the
and it
air.
may have not been a meteorite.
I like how we've added to that sting.
I know. It's so good. Forgot about that one.
Do you know what tuna is? Fish.
It's fish! Thank God someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start. Gabe, what does a cat say?
Yeah.
Max, what does a chicken say?
Cluck, cluck.
And Izzy, what does a shark say? Today we're talking sex. Many animals do it, and many in very strange ways. And yesterday the internet was abuzz because some sharks did something never seen before. Max, do you want to guess what it was?
They had a threesome.
That's correct. Some leopard sharks were recorded. That's the key
French
thing.
sharks.
They were French too. They were in New Caledonia. French sharks were recorded having a threesome, and it was key because it was recorded. So this critical research comes to us from the University of the Sunshine Coast. QS ranking, please.
Oh, really? Some Queenslanders were involved in this.
Queenslanders were involved.
Wow.
380.
It's got it. I think it's a bit higher. I think it's going to be 480 or something.
It's actually a range. It's 1,001 to 1,200. So 300 really generous. Yeah. But this research was not done at the University of the Sunshine Coast or on the Sunshine Coast at all. It was done in Noumea, New Caledonia. So they were in fact French sharks. Researcher Dr. Hugo Lesauce, and I'm going to keep calling him that because I think his name is really fun. He was snorkeling in the area when he noticed something very odd. 3 leopard sharks in a very odd position on the sea floor. So there's the female in the middle, and then 2 males holding on by their teeth to her pectoral fins on either side. So 1 male either side. In the video, to me, that honestly...
Pectoral fins, as in the fins coming out...
Fins coming out the side.
The wings, the little arms.
Little arms, little wings. So there's 1 male on either wing holding on by their teeth. And honestly, when I watched the video, the first thing I thought of was like mums in the supermarkets being held on each arm by a toddler.
Right.
That was the vibe.
That is normal.
Just hanging on.
Like a lot of sharks will do that. Biting.
They will do biting of some sort,
part of
not always the
reproduction.
pectoral fin. Sometimes it's the body, but one of the genuinely one of the ways that they check whether a female has had sex in her life is whether she has bite marks.
Oh, really?
Because it's just a part of how they do it. A lot of sharks, anyway. I mean, if you think about it, it's really hard to hang on when you've got no opposable thumbs and you're in the water. So that's kind of one of the ways they do it. So if you want, we'll post it later on our TikTok if you want to see the video. All of them, by the way, are about 2.3 meters long, so pretty big sharks. But I think like leopard sharks are one of the most gorgeous sharks. They're really stunning. They're sleek. They're long. They've got these almost eel-like tails, and they're covered in spots. Hence the name. So Dr. Lesauce sees this and thinks, well, that's weird. I should probably stick around and see what happens. And so he waits, and he waits for over an hour. He must have been so cold. I can't even tell you how freezing you get in the water when you're doing nothing for an hour. And they were just on the seafloor. So eventually, he said, after an hour, he had the GoPros running the whole time. They rose to the surface and the real action began. So the first male began what they call in the actual study, in the abstract, as copulatory thrusting. And I'm going to leave you to watch the video or imagine that. And because it's all on video, we know that he lasts 63 seconds. Then he detaches from the female and sits on the seafloor. Then the next one goes almost immediately after, which was the big deal. It takes 47 seconds and then also disengages. Dr. Lesauce says that the males, quote, lost all their energy and lay immobile on the bottom while the female swam actively away. So
the female swam actively.
Yeah, she was like, I'm going. That was terrible.
I got it lunch day.
They were hanging on for an hour beforehand and then that was it. Man, rough day to be a female leopard shark. But this isn't just interesting because lol shark threesome. It's because while it's rare to see any shark sex in the wild, these are critically endangered sharks. So filming a threesome of critically endangered leopard sharks is major news, you know? Very exciting. They actually said the video confirmed some mating habits that they'd seen in captivity. And so they think it may even help them with artificial insemination, which is something they're actively doing with these leopard sharks. They're trying to breed them up in captivity. Even to the extent of knowing how many fathers usually contribute to a batch of eggs. Like that's not something we currently know. So maybe this is more common. Maybe they have 2 fathers per clutch. Who knows?
And leopard sharks are the ones that we've covered before for doing the parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis.
Okay, where the females that haven't had any
they can clone themselves
known
basically.
contact with a male are able to give birth to pups that then actually hatch.
and are able to reproduce themselves, which is the key
and
thing.
are viable themselves. Yeah.
So leopard sharks have some crazy reproduction stuff going on, absolutely wild, and this is just another thing going to it. They also think, and this is really exciting, that they may have accidentally, through this video, found out that this base in New Caledonia is a critical mating habitat, which will help them try and, protect and conserve the species if they allow them to get their freak on in this area. Yeah. That's
good stuff. Cool.
Well,
I love the leopard
interesting
sharks
stuff.
because they're called zebra sharks in some parts of the world because the young look so different when they do hatch.
Right.
The young are striped.
stripey.
They're black and white striped.
Yes.
And the adults look. I think it's the most aptly named ocean creature that has a name from a land creature. Do you know what I mean? Like seahorse.
similar.
Where's the horse?
It's their face. The face
Where's
is
the
like
saddle?
a horse.
But right, exactly. But a leopard shark, that thing's got leopard spots.
Yeah.
You could maybe pass the cheetah shark, but we'll go with leopard
So
shark.
cheetahs have the little C's.
Yeah, but and then the young though are striped, and I think you've also talked about previously on the show how they think one of the reasons that they might have that stripe and
When
a
they're young.
really long tail that they then carry into adulthood that they don't seem to have a purpose for as an adult.
Yeah.
This massive long tail is to look like a venomous sea snake when they're young.
Yes.
So that things don't eat them.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Which is why they're called zebra sharks over
Yeah,
there
it's a
and
good
leopard
idea.
sharks here. And but
Maybe
they're
we
the
should
same thing.
paint our young with stripes.
Yeah.
You ever thought about that? Parenting hack for you.
ZFM, because you've got a brain in between those ears.
You tune into 4ZZZ and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Izzy and we've got part 3 of this. Hit us up, Izzy.
Well, Max, last week I spoke about our philosophical age, or physiological age, and how interacting with the creative arts can make you about 3 or so years younger in health age, due to its benefits of socializing and engaging creatively.
Going to ballet.
Yeah, going to ballet, going to opera. It was a British survey, if you couldn't tell.
Forget about the price of fruit.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, today I've got research from the Nanjing University of University in China, QS ranking.
It has one.
It has one. It's in a range.
Yeah, I thought
It's not a big range though.
700 to 800.
Oh, close. 721 to 730. And they found that people with dementia, mild cognitive impairment, alcohol addiction, and psychological disorders such as schizophrenia show increased brain aging, each with specific patterns in the brain as well. So scientists calculated how old the brain is in relative to the body, similar to like the physiological age, using the predictive age difference, P.A.D., which is the difference between the chronological age and the age predicted by a brain image, with a positive P.A.D. indicating that aging is accentuated or increased.
Okay. Yeah,
So to better understand how
so you
brain...
want to be negative.
So you want to be negative.
Yeah.
So you want your brain to be younger than your age.
Physical age.
Your physical age.
Yeah.
To better understand how brain disorders and its divergences can affect brain aging, the authors of the study collected MRI data from 45,900 healthy control patients across several different brain imaging
sample.
networks. Yeah. But this is when my kind of red flag science methodology comes in. They compared it to 2,698 patients with different brain conditions and differences. So such as ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, alcohol or tobacco addiction, Alzheimer's, mild cognitive impairment, schizophrenia, bipolar, and major depressive disorder. Shout out to how many everyone has. So obviously large sample versus this very, very small sample of quite a diverse kind of number of neurological disorders. Some particular areas of interest, including higher P.A.D., so when your brain age is higher than your biological age, in the frontal and temporal lobes were associated with psychiatric disorders. Meanwhile, higher P.A.D. in the frontal and occipital cortex was associated with dementia. Now, you have a psych degree, Max. So I'm going to throw you in for the hot seat.
Thanks,
Can you inform us a little bit about the role of the frontal lobe? No, I can't do it? Well, it's all your kind of like...
really good. A quick refresher course.
But addiction was...
You're a risk taker.
You're risk taking, yeah. So kind of you're also a little bit of, I believe... social awareness as well. Addiction was connected with a high P.A.D. as well in the Salence network, which is associated with complex social behavior, communication, and self-awareness. There was also differences in gene transcription associated with certain conditions as well. So looking at family history can sometimes give an indication. While the results are correlational and not causational, and some conditions like psychiatric disorders and addiction have high co-occurrence, which makes sense. The authors suggested that understanding more about P.A.D. could help create biomarkers for commonly occurring brain disorders, which I think would be fantastic, especially as we see kind of brain-related disorders being diagnosed earlier and earlier. And for our science listeners, I thought I would just throw in a little bit of methodology real quick. When we talk about there is correlation does not equal causation, it means that there is no cause and effect relationship between two variables on the basis of purely observation. So if you have a brain that is a little bit older than you, it doesn't necessarily indicate you're going to get a psychiatric disorder or Alzheimer's later down the line. It's just kind of looking at seeing somewhat of these two variables occurring at the same time. So understand it's not because of this you will get that. It's more like this is interesting to have a look. So there was, overall, this is a fantastic study looking at maybe creating those biomarkers that could later indicate earlier diagnosis. And I did some research as well into some brain age tests that you can do. Dementia Australia has some fantastic resources. They've even got an app called Brain Track. This isn't sponsored, but I think it'd be really interesting if you are aware of it or you want to kind of have a look at your own brain age. It's a little app that gets you to kind of look at individual countries each month and look up their facts to see whether or not you see some changes in your brain activity. So, have a look around and, eat some vitamin C as well, I guess.
So they put these 26 babies into these MRI machines and they were very proud of being able to get them one at a time.
They're all strapped in a circle around the machine.
Sorry.
That's right.
You shouldn't have mentioned babies in an MRI machine. Just told us that they measured their brains. It's just so funny.
You're tuning to 4ZZZ and your show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy, we've got Maximillian, and we've got this.
Single press overtake, stay in scenario 7.
If you push me off the track, I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space.
Come on. Get it, kiddo. Get it. Woo! Yeah, you don't need to tell me that.
Max, we're in this together, mate. Head down. Come on.
Yes! Great job, guys. That was hard work. Oh, that was hard work.
Belgian Grand Prix on the weekend in F1. Future world champion, Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli.
That's a bit much, isn't it?
Wow. Future world champion. Yeah.
He secured pole and won the race. Spoiler alert.
He took Verstappen gave it a good go, though.
He did.
Yeah. What do you call it? Admirable effort.
Yeah. Good try.
Yeah, good try.
A trophy for participation.
Somehow I don't think he would see it that way.
No, I don't think so either.
The Spa circuit is the longest track on the Formula One calendar, and drivers found it difficult to drive the new spec cars flat out for an entire lap, let alone a race. The podium was Kimi Antonelli, P1, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, P2, and Red Bull's Max Verstappen coming in third. Aussie Oscar Piastri managed fifth in his McLaren, and current world champion Lando Norris. It's weird, isn't it?
I know, isn't it strange?
I don't like saying that.
Yeah. There were some
grace.
notable DNFs did not finish, and that was Mr. Unlucky George.
Did you hear
Russell.
the radio
No.
from George? There was a couple F-bombs dropped complaining he had no effing battery down the straight and how it was not on. Not on.
In
It's
not
in the British
home.
accent. It was not coming home before that unfortunate DNF.
Okay. Because he was punted off the circle.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it was a British on British crime.
Yeah.
Because I think
by a night, no less.
when you
Yeah,
said
by
the
Sir.
F-bomb, I thought you were talking about Ferrari. but,
No, that was George Russell.
The thing is, though, George actually, and we know he's not afraid of complaining, to say the least, actually chalked it up to a racing incident. absolving Hamilton of all blame, and yet the
Really?
steward still found it fit to give him a 5-second penalty.
Yes, which is
for what
nothing,
was ostensibly a racing incident.
Unacceptable, he said. Un-effing acceptable.
It takes 5 seconds to recharge your battery anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not really a penalty. I mean, the latest spec is a penalty in itself.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez, driving a Ferrari power Cadillac, had a rear suspension failure, and Lance Stroll. What do we say about Lance Stroll?
He just retired, didn't he? Period.
His Honda-powered Aston Martin.
He's going to take up tennis.
Yeah.
Had a gearbox issue, apparently. So, are they bringing some upgrades anytime soon, Aston Martin?
Aston Martin. Well, it's not vibrating anymore, is it? So,
Step one.
So that was They've been living off that high for the last while.
Yeah, I think Hungary was the talk, right?
Yes.
Their second spec. But
True. Okay, we'll talk about more in a sec. We'll talk about women in sport. What do you got? Motorsport.
Reported last week, Johanna Seconte was competing this weekend in round 2 of the Kyoto Cup at Fuji Speedway. She managed 6th in the sprint, 4th in the feature race, with fellow Australian Paige Raditz placing 11th and 6th in the 20-driver field. So after 2 rounds, Seconte is placed 3rd in the championship with 3 rounds to go. Also, back in Oz, registrations are now open for the next FIA Girls on Track Pathway events, with the Walkinshaw TWG Racing to provide participants with an exclusive behind-the-scene looks in Australia's leading motorsports organisation. So on the 3rd of September, FIA Girls on Track Pathway at Walkinston TWG Racing and Toyota Gyoza Racing Australia, supported by Supercheap Auto, full name by the way, is at the Walkinshaw TWG Racing Melbourne headquarters.
Yeah, so you have to be in Melbourne.
You have to be in Melbourne, but a fantastic opportunity for young girls getting into motorsport to get first-hand insight on career opportunities within the motorsport industry, with industry knowledge as well. So on how to work within elite motorsport. So a fantastic opportunity in our own backyard. And I'm sure there are many more opportunities for. I hope there's more in Queensland as well. Yeah,
15 to 22 years.
15 to 22. Yeah, so I'm just outside that cusp, unfortunately. But fantastic opportunity.
NASCAR Cup also happened on the weekend. It was on an oval circuit, so a circuit last used by NASCAR for scoring in a points round, in a cup round in 1996. So it's a fair few years ago, isn't it? Like 30 years or so. And once again, qualifying was rained out, so Shane Van Gisbergen was given a great starting position in P8. And from there, Shane managed to get to the front of the race. And have you seen the audio from him getting to the front of the race?
No.
He said, "What the F do I do now?" on an oval race, because he's never been up front on an oval race.
And that's so crazy watching footage of NASCAR drivers on the oval circuits, because those are those crazy footage where it is just going. Yeah, it's very much kind of it's very much that Cars kind of imagery of just going around and around and around, just pushing against that boundary.
So he earned some good points. They have what they call stages, stage 1, 2 and 3. He earned some points in stage 1 and 2, and obviously he finished 5th, earning some good points. So that's
how were we meant to guess this? Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
So that equals his best ever finishing on an oval circuit. And this also elevates him back to 14th in the championship. And you have to be above 16 to qualify for the playoffs at the end of the season, which he looks pretty well locked in now, with plenty of points separating him from 14th to 17th. So, yeah. IndyCar also happened the weekend. Alex Palau winning, so he's a Spaniard. So he was happy. It was like a double victory for Spain.
Nice. Yep.
Espanol.
Great weekend.
Joseph Newgarden finished second, and David Malakis drove from the very back of the podium. Back of the field.
Back of the podium.
To secure a third. So he was the back of the podium. Anyway, he's hospitalised for a crash on Saturday during practice, and just to show up for the Sunday's race. Former F1 driver Mick Schumacher earned his career best finish in 8th, and he was the only rookie to finish the race in the tricky conditions. Former supercar champion Scotty McLaughlin finished 4th, while Aussie Willpower classified 15 laps down in 20th due to the tricky conditions. This weekend, where are we racing? F1.
I mean, this is where Gabe usually jumps in.
Channel your inner Gabe.
In a Gabe.
You're in a Gabe.
It's a normal weekend. It's a traditional weekend.
It is a traditional weekend.
It's in Hungary.
And it's Hungary.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And they're going to bring a lot of change. McLaren, I know, is going to bring their Macarena wing to the circuit to see if they use it or not. They'll probably have another hydraulics issue, so I'll have to fall back to their normal wing. So you're saying Aston Martin's going to bring some stuff to Hungary, hopefully?
That was the talk earlier in the year. I'm not sure where they are internally with the development of that. Clearly, it's been an uphill climb for them this season.
Yeah. So who's going to win at Hungary? What sort of circuit is that? Is that a speed circuit? It's not a long circuit?
It's probably the closest circuit would be kind of like Spain, where it does have a lot of high speed, but it is still very technical. It's actually sometimes referred to as Monaco without wall. Without
yes,
walls.
Okay. Yeah, that's where Perez went off. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it is obviously higher speed than Monaco, but
it's a bit of braking though, so they'll be able to recharge, so that's good.
Yes, some really good braking opportunities.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
And that first hairpin is iconic. Remember Bottas going bowling a few years back with Ocon going on to win.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I've got the times available for the Hungary Grand Prix. Yeah. These are in Australian times. On the... My goodness. On Friday, we've got practice 1 from 9:30 till 10:30. Practice 2 from 1 a.m. to 2 on Saturday. Also on Saturday, from 8:30 till 9:30 is practice 3 with qualifying midnight on Sunday and the race at 11.
On Sunday night.
Yeah. So, this is going to be a late night for us Aussies.
Well, at least we don't have to get up for the football.
No. So no more of that. But that match was amazing. So
did you enjoy it?
I am in a little bit of a World Cup slump, honestly. It's
a bit that way.
So happy that Formula One is back on.
And did you see the halftime?
I did see the halftime show. My goodness, there was a lot of screaming in our household. With both Shakira, Justin Bieber, a whole lineup, and a little Ted Lasso reference as well. I've been watching that alongside the World Cup, so that was. Look, it's a bit weird, it being in America, and completely off topic, Trump's presence generally was a bit strange and off-putting.
Got photoshopped out, I know.
I know, I did, yes. So, sad it's over, happy it happens. But yes, there's a lot more. We got another 4 years, but the Women's World Cup coming up as well, very excited.
Yeah, the real World Cup anyway.
The real proper World Cup.
You're tuning to 4ZZZ and the show with no idea with me, Max. We've got Maximillian still here because we're going to talk about Mythos. And for those unfamiliar, that's the new AI model that was banned by the States to be used anywhere else but the States. But now they've released Fable 5 for us to use, which is their version of Mythos that now coders can use. Maximillian's a coder, so you've been using Claude to help you out with some of your work assignments.
Yes, absolutely. So the distinction with Fable is underneath it is the same thing as this, Mythos that they've been banging on about as being, it's going to bring about, this new, unparalleled security issues, etc. And what they've done is they put what's called a classifier in front of it, and the idea being if you touch a sensitive topic, be it in information security, be it in biology, that sort of stuff. Have you done the vitamin story yet?
Yes, I have, the vitamin C story.
Yeah. So even when I asked it about vitamin C, it immediately flagged it and said, no, sorry, you have to go back to Opus. What was quite fun when the model was first released, it would actually vibrate your whole phone if you triggered the thing, but it made you really feel like you were in trouble. So this classifier, just is sort of in front and then demotes you to their next most capable model rather than this Mythos class Fable. Their thinking is with this new model is it's very good at putting disparate pieces of information together and sort of synthesizing it into the final product, and that's what gives it that edge with information security and technology and finding vulnerabilities in software. I did actually apply it to a reverse engineering task. It obviously immediately classified it as no, you're not allowed to do this. But then I restarted the chat, gave it a legal justification for why this was allowed to be done, and it was actually happy to proceed. So the classifier is intelligent, right? Like it to an extent, it is understanding intent. Which I thought was neat. I thought it was very neat.
Cool. And so the idea is that it can bring in these different ideas and join them together and code in such a way that it would take you, say, years to do, Or give us some sort of time frames that it can handle.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it can get up to speed just very quickly. You know what I mean? Across a very large number of lines of code, and that's going to take weeks, right? Even for like a very competent programmer to understand a large code base in detail across the different areas is going to take weeks minimum, and it can do that in say 10 minutes, reasonably speaking.
Yeah, okay.
So it has an edge over people in that respect. It can just read faster and it can write faster.
So if you fed it a code base for a program, and then would it then come back with suggestions, or do you have to prompt it to say, how do you make this better?
You do point it at stuff, right? Like I don't think leaving it completely unguided is the right idea. I know that's how they've found some of the stuff is sort of just like, have a look at this, which is quite funny when you do ask it that, and then the classifier triggers, and it's like, no, hang on, I wasn't actually asking you to. And it's sort of it's a weird one where sorry, is my sorry. Yeah. It's definitely a weird one where it will find stuff when you're not asking it to, and then you have to have the less capable thing after the fact when and it won't then tell you what the issue is. Your software actually has a vulnerability in it, and it's like, but I'm not allowed to say what. It's like, okay, that's
because
not
it's a
helpful.
security issue, and therefore
because it's a security issue.
Gets caught.
And the problem is, it's the two sides of the coin. Fixing an issue for good reason is also the same as finding an issue that you could use to exploit a piece of software.
Yes, that's right. So it's a fine line that Mythos is treading. I typed into Gemini. I said, what questions could I ask about Claude?
And just to remove any bias.
Yeah, that's right. And it says, what are its core capabilities? Do you have any answer to that?
Well, I think the other interesting one, apart from, I would say its core capability is that ability to synthesize very laterally.
Yes.
And that's, again, a boon for security. But the other interesting thing is it is actually a lot more conversational. It's less like stiff as well in the way that it talks, and it will actually be humorous. Like I made a Space Odyssey joke at it, and it somehow was like, actually it matched the tone perfectly in a way that I haven't really seen a model previously get.
Right.
And another fun test is like just testing these models' knowledge of pop culture, etc. This one is the first that actually understands the plot of Love Actually. Like I'm not kidding. Like it's such a trivial thing, but none of the other ones could get it. Like what the reference, like if you just throw it in like in a general work context. One of the weird things about these models, if you do sort of throw in just random stuff while you are working on something serious, it somehow does give weirdly better results. It's a superficial thing. It might not actually be true, but some people have reported success with it. I've found success with it as well. When you are actually talking more casually to these things.
Have you got an example?
Well, the HAL one, where I started referring to it as HAL, and I was very much.
It'd
I was
be ready
Dave.
for that one. You would think.
Yeah, of course it would be ready for that one, but
and you could probably quote some Interstellar, sort of quite a bit like when
Tars, dial it back,
dial it back the sarcasm or whatever.
Yeah. Self-destruct in. No.
That's right.
So I will try that after this. I will try that after this.
And I love how you're doing some work with it the other night, and you wanted to get some records deleted, and it kept saying, it kept questioning you. Are you sure you want to delete these records? Are you really sure?
And it really speaks to the alignment of this model, and I think hopefully should allay some people's fears about it, is that Anthropic are taking this quite seriously.
Yeah.
In terms of like the AI is actually built for us rather than to replace us, and then that's a really good point there where I really needed it to just go delete something, and it was like, no, you don't want to do this. I'm like, this is a development environment, we tear this down all the time, can you please just go delete the thing, which it had done plenty of other times, but this time it decided it really wanted to be particular, really wanted to make sure that
did it cite a reason or?
Not really, no. It just that there was a prior data loss thing, but that was an issue. Unrelated, yeah. But it did then put that together and say, okay, well, in this development environment, do you want to make sure that? Yeah, it's just sort of checking it twice, which fair enough. In those sort of situations where you only get to cut once, you do want to measure twice. And it's nice that it is doing that, and it's not, because you hear all the horror stories. Like I think the famous one was like the head of AI alignment at Meta had her agent just start deleting all her emails at one point. Like, so it is a super important thing because you don't want it to have a task of like organize this and it discovers, oh yeah, I'm going to delete everything now.
Or a group email with some compromising photos.
I've attached your latest 3 photos from your camera roll. I hope you don't mind.
Your June dump is gone.
And that's the fear, right? That's the real problem with this stuff. And I just think it is good that, like, in spite of what we may think of the current United States administration, I think it is good that they did take this seriously. I think it is mostly marketing and hot air. And now having worked with it for a month, but it is still good to take these things more cautiously than not.
We've had a text in from Gillis, and they say, I have found Gemini is utterly obsessed with Warhammer. 40,000.
Maybe that speaks more to the culture at Google, I think, than anything.
Right, okay.
That is good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, all these little models do have just weird quirks like that.
Yeah.
Weird idiosyncrasies that they've had to sort of iron out. I'm blanking on Claude's ones, but they actually, in what they call the system prompt, which is a bunch of text that goes out before you even write anything as the end user.
Oh, really? Like a header
to increase
file.
alignment.
Yeah, okay.
They had to say something like, it was like, please do not mention this. Just whatever you do, just do not, because otherwise, because in testing, it was just obsessed.
That's
so
great.
I think they get fixated on things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, is that it for the AI discussion for this week?
I think that's it. We might circle back in future because I did run a little bit of an experiment last night, seeing as this is the science show and all, where I had it hooked up to Ableton, but I'm still not quite sure.
And for
how
those unfamiliar, Ableton's are like a music manufacturing software that you can use.
You call it a digital audio workstation or a DAW.
And if you listen to Tame Impala, that it exclusively uses that software to create their songs. Yeah. Sorry, Maxie. Yeah.
No, it's just I'm not quite comfortable with it yet, and I didn't necessarily want to subject our listeners to it. Radio against the machine and all that. But, it was just. I'm still struggling with whether it was better than just like a random number generator sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Anyway.
You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy. We've got Gabe, but he's away. But he's written up something.
He has written up something. Now, before I kick this off, just a warning that this story does contain content about deadly infectious diseases and its historical impact on Indigenous Australians. If this is sensitive to you, flick over for the next 5 minutes. There's also 13 yarn, so 139276 for crisis support for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. When we are taught history, we spend far too long talking about the thing that arguably has shaped humanity the most, which is disease. It's hard to know for sure, but it's common to hear that the majority of the 117 billion humans who have ever existed were killed by disease. This includes non-communicable diseases like heart disease and cancers, as well as infectious diseases like tuberculosis, Black Death, malaria, and even COVID-19. Arguably more than war, more than agriculture, more than industrialization, disease has shaped human history, but we don't learn nearly enough about the history of diseases in schools and don't talk about it enough in the world. One of the most chronically understated impacts of disease that we don't talk about nearly enough in this country is what smallpox did to Indigenous Australians. For a long time, the specifics of where smallpox originated in Australia and how severe the outbreak was has been debated. A new study has modelled the spread of this disease and confirmed just how severe it was. It was published in the journal Nature Human Behaviour and comes to us from a big collection of Australian researchers from across the country, led out by Flinders University. Do you have a QS ranking for me, Max?
Flinders.
Flinders.
That's in South Australia, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. 70.
Oh, 374, a little bit higher up. But this story begins in 1789 with the arrival of the first fleet. Yeah. Within 16 months of the first fleet landing, a smallpox epidemic was swept through Aboriginal people in the Sydney region. It's caused by a virus called the Varroa virus. It leads to fever, severe illness, and high death rates, especially in Indigenous populations that didn't previously have exposure to it. The new study was modelled on what we know about smallpox transmission with what information we do have about how Indigenous Australians contacted through regular exchange, trade, and long-distance movement at the time when the first fleet introduced smallpox. The modelling mapped out various scenarios depending on where the origin of the outbreak could have been and how many secondary cases there may have been from each primary case. Researchers were looking at where the disease could have travelled in Indigenous Australians so that where people realistically walk, rested and recovered could be tracked. The modelling shows that there's no plausible pathway that smallpox could have travelled by any other means than Sydney, where the British colony had just started. They also dispelled a myth that the smallpox outbreak of 1989 didn't break out of what is now the Sydney region. Under the highest spread scenario, they found the outbreak could have lasted up to 21 years and ripped through most of New South Wales, Victoria, and as far north as Townsville. They may not know what specifically started it, but it definitely came from Sydney. It's possible that the colonists deliberately brought in samples containing the smallpox virus to be used, if needed, a sort of kind of anti-vaccine, an early vaccine, and some of the colonists may have just had the virus, or someone may have deliberately released it. So a very interesting kind of study that looks at, I've heard this through kind of academia as well, the use of smallpox or the use of disease as a way of kind of eradicating or even just managing a population. So it being tracked all the way from Sydney and no other origin of smallpox in Australia is quite profound and actually really interesting in rewriting, I guess, a very whitewashed version of history. So special thanks to Gabe for writing that up for us. And remember, the number is 13 yarn, 139276 if you need any sort of support, especially for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander listeners.
I think what we're learning generally at the moment is a brain really isn't necessary for thought or learning. Like, I think we knew for a long time that you didn't need a brain to react. It does. Oh my goodness, finally.
I can hear you. I can hear you gearing up to that.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a brain, so he has to make all that noise.
His arms and legs had to come to a committee agreement to make the joke.
No idea. Space news.
What are you laughing?
I'm saying silver linings because researchers at Uppsala University, QS ranking, it's less than 100.
Is it 69?
87.
Oh.
That would have been good. I didn't think of that. Have calculated that the sun contains 55% more silver than previously estimated. The result is based on more realistic modelling of the sun's atmosphere and resolves a long-standing problem of the missing silver in the solar system.
Silver on the sun.
Yeah, the silver sun surface. Until now, the silver abundance measured in the sun was significantly lower than that found in chemically primitive meteorites, which were both formed at the same time as the sun and from the same cloud of gas 4.6 billion years ago. The sun's new silver value is now in better agreement with measurements from these meteorites. Artemis Accords is a set of non-binding international principles established by NASA and the US Department of State to guide civil space exploration and the peaceful use of the moon, Mars and other celestial bodies. The most recent country to sign off is Mauritius, but if you ask me, Izzy, how many countries had signed the Artemis Accords before Mauritius, what would that number have been?
Is it 69
it
for real?
Is.
Yeah.
And for extra points, can you name the country that is number 69?
Oh, for signing Artemis.
The Accords. It's Serbia.
Oh, nice.
Not to be outdone, China and Russia has the International Lunar Research Station, or ILRS. It's a planned lunar base led by Roscosmos and the Chinese National Space Administration, and it was announced back in 2021. And it's aimed to begin construction from 2031. The ILRS will serve as a comprehensive scientific experiment base built on the lunar surface or a lunar orbit that can carry out multi-objective scientific research activities, including exploration and utilization, lunar-based observation, basic scientific experiment, and technical verification and long-term autonomous operation. 13 countries have so far signed up to this accord. And finally, Super Heavy and the Starship Stack. This is a fully reusable rocket that SpaceX is developing. It's going to go for launch this Friday morning, say around 8:45, 9 o'clock Brisbane time. It will be the rocket's 13th test mission. Hopefully I can give a report next week if all goes well. It's already tried to launch it, but they had to abort, so this will be the second time trying to get it into the air, and then it lands off WA and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted.
69.
It is!
It is?
It is!
You tune to 4ZZZ. And if you want to subscribe to his station, you can get onto the website at 4zzz.org.au/support. If you're under 18, it's $25. If you want to subscribe your pet, it's $25. A basic / concession is $40. Full subscription for the year, $80. A passionate subscriber, $140. Get your t-shirt. Or super sub, $500. You get some goodies, get your name written downstairs in gold ink. And also the month of July.
Yeah, we've got a monthly sub prize from Garage Sounds Record Store. They're based in Upper Mount Gravatt, and they are giving you a voucher at the value of $200, which you can use for any of their physical media, including vinyl, CDs, cassettes, books, DVDs, and merch.
Yeah.
So you'll go into the running if you subscribe during the month of July. It's 4ZZZ.org.au/support.
That's it for No Idea. Sign us out, Gabe. Oh, hang on.
He's not here.
Oh, well, next week.
Well, next week you'll tune in. Should be back.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this special in-studio version of us. Drink some vitamin C, take care of that brain of yours, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.